Hey guys, Micah from Black Bear Custom Kydex. This is going to be a really fun video. I am struggling to record a reasonable length video for you, so I'm changing the order of how I was doing things, and I think I'm going to skip some of the prep talk that I was going into before just because it was eating up so much time. This is like my 10th take. I'm really bad at this. Lately I've been taking like 4 or 5 takes minimum to get a video out. I used to be able to just do one shot, one kill, but it is what it is. So today we are looking at this Tops Knives Breakaway piggyback system that I built for Richard up in Canada. And it was a really fun project for me for a few reasons. Number one, because I don't think I've done sheaths for either of these knives. Definitely not the larger one. This is the Max Punisher, and this is the Tops Silent Hero 4. Obviously it's a complex build, so that in itself is fun. And then on top of all of that, Richard and his son Jake are fans of my channel. They watch my stuff and comment on some stuff on Instagram as well. And it's just really humbling to me when I have people that actually like care about the videos for things that aren't theirs. It's fun for them to watch, I guess. And that, you know, I do the same thing. I watch a lot of gear videos, people just like showing stuff they build or showing stuff they bought or whatever. Like, I nerd out on that stuff. I don't know why it's so satisfying, but it is. And so that anybody's doing that with stuff that I'm coming up with, to me, is just very humbling and flattering. So thank you guys. I really appreciate that. In addition, Jake sent me some patches, and I just wanted to say thank you, man. It was a really cool gift from you. I appreciate that so much. And I've got a surprise for you, but you're going to have to stick around to the end of the video to see what that is. So, all right, let's dive into this build. So first off, we have the Tops Silent Hero 4. This is a great little knife, guys. I love this design. I've got the full-size Silent Hero. I don't have one of these, but man, it's comfortable. It looks really nice. I love this design. Truly, it's one of my favorites from Tops that I don't own already. So let me know if you guys have any experience with the Silent Hero 4. I'd love your opinions down below. Then over here, we've got the Max Punisher. Now, this thing is a true juggernaut. It's a weird knife. It's got a very unconventional design to it, but there's a lot of features on it, and it's, you know, it's pretty hefty, so I imagine it's a great chopper. Probably 1095. I haven't looked at the, yeah, I'm sure it's 1095, but whatever. It's a Tops knife, so you know the heat treat is really nice, and just the design in general is fun. So let me know what you guys think of the Max Punisher. This thing is pretty slick. But with both of these comes some inherent challenges of prep work, and this is where I'm going to speed run and not go into all the details. I just want to say, basically, anything that leaves space for Kydex to form into, any of those gaps, those little notches, this little prong sticking out the top, or the lobe on the bottom here of the choil. With this one, you've got the grind, the sawback, the saddle, this feature here. You've got the big choil, you've got the small handle behind where normal handles are, like your index fingers behind the main retention point. With this one, your index finger goes in front of it. So there's just a bunch of different things you have to kind of game and block out for, and all the regular tape prep work just multiplied on this particular knife. So this was a nightmare to prep, but the ultimate end result came out really nice. Ultimately, guys, what I was going for was to make the front side look, well, say the right side, look more like the left side, but in addition, to get rid of any feature that you see between the framing square and the knife. So basically fill in those gaps, in addition to raising up the full right side face to look like what you're seeing here on the left. And that is a challenge. Mostly done with excuse me, mostly done with wood, modeling clay, and blue tape. So all right, I'll leave it there for now. As far as features on this system goes, the overall carry options that you have here, you've got a leather dangler. It's not just any dangler, though. It is a Tech-Lock clasp dangler. What that means is you could be carrying it as a dangler, and then, yeah, you want to switch to a Tech-Lock, you just open your Tech-Lock up, let that tab come free, and boom, you've just got a Tech-Lock setup. Not only do you have a Tech-Lock setup, but it is on a pivot plate. This pivot plate is made from Lexan bulletproof glass. It is very, very rugged stuff. So you can pivot this around without fear of having it break on you. You can also I'm going to tighten the screws just a little bit to add some resistance to the twist. All right. There we go. I like it to be a little bit more difficult to rotate so that it stays where you set it, and you can muscle it into place when you need to. So there we go. You got your tech lock, you've got your leather dangler, but in addition to this, you see this Coyote gray plate here, this little spanner plate, it's got a little tab there. What I decided to do was, because the whole tech lock pivot plate mounted to this thing, it adds a little bit of bulk. It's kind of necessary. I'll talk about that in a second. But because it adds bulk, I thought it might be a nice option to throw in an extra dangler tab that you can mount directly to the Coyote plate so that it's just a little bit lower profile if you ever want to switch up for a fixed dangler position instead of having this like modular setup. You can just take the screws off of this and wrap the leather loop onto this D-ring, and you're good to go. All right. So there we go. Why is this setup necessary? Well, I thought it necessary because if you mount the pivot plate directly to the eyelets on either side, the top or the bottom, what you wind up with is about a 1 inch offset. It's 3/4 of an inch in this direction or 1 inch off toward the bottom. And that means that your tech lock is going to be biased toward either the top or the bottom side of your sheath. That means not only is the tech lock carry kind of unbalanced, but when you go to carry on your dangler, the tech lock clasp dangler, imagine instead of having it hang with the dangler right over the handle, you'd be like down here or up here. And to me, that's just kind of a no-go. It doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. It doesn't function right. And so for that reason, I thought the best thing to do would be to make a spanner plate that connects both sides of the sheath, and then to connect the pivot plate to that in such a way that gives you a perfectly centered tech lock. So that's what you got there. The tab coming off of that spanner is, again, for this dangler tab, and it does have adjustability as far as ride height goes. So there you go. Then we have a Beach and Tactical Baldrick sling. Guys, if you're looking to carry Baldrick style, Beach and Tactical slings are where it is at. These are, in my opinion, the best Baldrick slings on the planet. And for the record, he does make rifle slings as well. I haven't had a chance to use one yet, so I can't speak to it, but I can only imagine that it's a quality product. He is a U.S. Army veteran, guys, and I love to support my fellow brothers in arms, and he just makes, seriously, the best gear on the planet as far as slings go. So I have no shame in promoting his stuff. I don't get any special treatment. I just really love his work, and he's a good dude too. So please go support Jacob. Beach and Tactical, the Prepper's Bunker Outdoors, and Exodus Knife and Tool. He's got some cool knife designs as well. That dude works his tail off. So hats off to you, Jacob, and thanks for letting me buy some slings off you. All right, next up, we got the features of the sheaths themselves. This is a Breakaway Piggyback. That's probably the primary focus of this. What is a Breakaway Piggyback? It is simply a system that allows you to quickly separate your two knives and carry them independent of one another. That's why the small knife has a carry setup installed. This is an ulti-clip. It's ideal for something like a pocket carry or carrying inside the waistband. If you do carry inside the waistband, guys, make sure that you're clipping this onto the fabric of your pants, not onto your belt. You will stretch that spring out if you clip it onto something too thick, and then it becomes weaker over time and becomes unusable eventually. So pocket carry or IWB with that ulti-clip there. You do have adjustable ride height with the ulti-clip, and that bigger hole is to drop the hardware in. So if you ever do need to switch sides, this is what it looks like on the left side as well. You can just take the screws out, slide the hardware over, pull it out through that big hole, flip it over and drop them in through the big hole that's on the left side, and so on and so forth. Now this adapter here, this is what I came up with for a way to quickly move your sheath from one to the other. So this is nice and wide. It's made of 1/4 inch thick aluminum. It's super rugged. You've got counterbores there to hide your screws and make them low profile, so they don't stick up off the face of this adapter. You also have these little notches in the side for retention. They coincide with notches on the holder, and I actually made the holder by just vacuum forming a layer of Kryptek Neptune over this aluminum plate, and that of course gives you an exact fit to this thing. Now you'll notice that I cut a channel out of the center of this face and the two halves are completely separated. The reason is because it's a relief cut. It allows these two halves to kind of pop apart. And so when you slide this in, you get nice, tight, snug fit. But when it reaches that retention point from those notches, they can pop apart and let it click in. They also do a pretty good job at retaining it. They're a very gentle curve. I didn't want too much retention because I need you to be able to remove this, but they do serve a function of retaining this pretty well. Case in point, if you were to have your Silent Hero on there and you wanted to draw this off, you could grip and rip this. You can just grab the handle and pull backwards. The adapter will retain the sheath better than the sheath retains the knife. That said, I don't recommend a grip and rip draw ever. I recommend putting your index finger on the choil right there, just the tip of it, and then using your thumb down low on this thumb ramp, and you get quite a bit of torque like that. You can pull that off without too much struggle. Now, the reason I recommend the fingertip thing instead of just gripping your knife like normal, there's just not a lot of room in between for your fingers to go. And even if you do successfully get that, you're just kind of like raking your knuckles over the features of the larger sheath. So it's not very comfortable. So yeah, I always go, fingertips on the bottom of your knife and thumb down low on that ramp. And it's really not that difficult to pull that out of there. Now, when you do have it separated, of course, I would just go a full grip, finger deep into that finger groove, and pop it off like so. But different when you have less real estate for your fingers. All right, moving over, we have the Max Punisher. Fits in really nicely, and it's got a nice click. It's got a really nice springy ballistic type draw, and it does have a retention strap here as well as what look like two slide locks. Richard originally asked me to put a slide lock on it, and that's why I did that up here on the top. However, it did not affect retention the way I wanted it to. So I thought, all right, we've already cut the bottom of this. There's no getting closer to the retention point. So I put a slide lock slot right there, and it does affect the retention quite a bit. That said, even with this fully engaged, it makes drawing difficult, but not impossible. It's a lot of retention, but not so much that you can't overcome it. So I like the retention when that's fully disengaged. Up here, I like the position of this one fully engaged. And then you get a really nice buttery draw, but really good retention. The retention strap is what I recommend there. You can obviously remove it, Richard, if you want to. I recommend just using it, snap it up there. And when that's engaged, you're not getting this out of there. It's really in there, nice and snug. So I think this is a smart fail-safe to just get the job done that I wasn't able to get done with the slide lock. All right, your flashlight is mounted in there facing forward. And the idea with this is while you're carrying Baldrick style, you want the lens facing out in front of you so that you can have a hands-free flashlight scenario where you just kind of pop this out of there, click it on, tuck that back in there so you don't accidentally engage the button. And then you can just carry this slung over your shoulder like so, with the light aimed out in front of you. You can obviously manipulate it as well, like so, or you can be using both your hands to do stuff and the light is just guiding your path. I love that about Baldrick setups with flashlights. That's like one of the things I nerd out about the most. If you've watched my channel for a while, you probably know that already, but that's why I always set them up, usually on the bottom, but there's a reason I put it on top specifically here. Now, the reason why it is specifically on top is because I wanted to crowd this area of the sheath. The holder for the vape is a little bit snug, so it's kind of difficult to draw it out the bottom, but that's obviously so that you don't lose it. I didn't want to loosen it up too much just because it's better to have a little bit of security in there. But because it's difficult to draw, Richard, what I would recommend is maybe pull it down from the mouthpiece. And once you get it down there, it's quite a bit easier to manipulate out of the holder just because there's more of it to grab at the bottom. If you need space to grab it, your D-ring might be in the way, it might be difficult to mitigate that. You can just pivot that out of the way or even just fold the D-ring down toward the front and you'll be good to go. And why is it crowded? It's crowded because the mouthpiece is the cartridge for the vape. So if it were to get snagged, it also moves very easily. So if it were to get snagged and kind of pop free, I would want something there to prevent it from coming far enough out that this piece could get lost. So that's why that's there. I would just recommend doing it. You could even go up all the way like so, and it's just not going to move on you. It's not going to get caught. As far as the flashlight goes, one other feature, the lens, obviously, or I keep saying lens, the button goes into this little out of round section. And the reason why is to obviously prevent you from accidentally engaging your light. You could drain your battery that way, or you could shut it off while you're using it on accident. So having it tucked in there is good. However, it looks like, if you're looking at the pocket clip, it looks like you should be pushing the pocket clip all the way down to the rim of the holder. Not so. You just want the button itself to be almost fully obscured. You can go a little deeper than this, maybe just like that, but I don't know, any deeper than that, and you start to get the button into an area where it's just kind of squeezed too much, and it's very difficult to remove your flashlight after that. So don't go in too deep, just obscure the button and you should be good to go. The ferro rod holder down here is a 5/16 rod. It is for the Exotac fire rod, but 5/16 is a very standard ferro rod size, so any ferro rod will do. I'm going to include a length of shot cord, and what you'll do is slot that through the hole, or the lanyard hole in this case on the Exotac's handle, and you'll tie a little overhand knot down at the, in fact, I'm going to tie it for you. And all you'll do, what do I have for cord? Well, this isn't shot cord, but let me just demonstrate real quick. I'm going to tie 2 overhand knots for you on the elastic bungee, and they'll look something like this. And then what you'll do is you'll slip the bite on this end of the shot cord. You'll slip it through the little loop on the handle, and then you'll just do a cow's hitch. You'll pull the knot through the loop like so, and boom, you're good to go. From there, obviously this is not a ferro rod, but you get the picture. You'll slide it in, you'll stretch the bungee over the tip of your rod, which is protruding from this end of the tube, and you will let the bungee slot into that little notch there. And it's on both sides because everything on this sheath is ambidextrous. All right, so there you go. Now, as far as the ferro rod, the compass is a Sunto clipper. That is on there by way of this little toe plate or reinforcement plate. And the plate has some features. It's really interesting that it's beveled here to allow you to get the compass off. It's also beveled the underside of this side of the lip is beveled to allow you to get it on there easier. Now there's a jaw on the bottom of this thing, and there's a tooth on the underside of the main body. So as you slide the jaw under, the tooth is on top, and it is preventing this from laying flush against the plate. So you want to guide that tooth toward this hole. Once it drops in, the compass is now flush on the plate, and it doesn't want to back off either. Even if the tooth comes out of the hole, you can't really back this off because this lip is still in the way. So the idea is, when you want to take your compass off, you need to do a couple things. First off, I would start by sliding the Breakaway up just a little bit to give you access to the compass. Then I would lift up the body of the compass to get the tooth out of the hole. Next, you'll notice it's kind of backing into this lip here, but I've made a couple of relief cuts, little slits that make this a pushable tab. So you depress this tab, and then you can just kind of slide it up off of there. It's very easy to do, very convenient, but pretty secure as well. You need to get this off of your sheath so that you can take an accurate reading without the metallic components of your sheath screwing up. See that? You don't want that muddying your north reading on your compass because you're going to get lost. So there you go, guys. All right, so quick note, the coloration of the sheath, we have Coyote Gray, Storm Gray Carbon Fiber, and Cryptek Neptune. Coyote Gray is a dying breed right now. It's one of my all-time favorite Kydex colors, but it's really difficult to find. This stuff I had to buy off a guy that had a bunch of it, and his whole shtick on eBay is that he buys Kydex in bulk, I guess, cuts it into smaller pieces, marks up the price, and sells it to other guys that want to buy Kydex. I usually don't buy from guys like that. Not that I have a problem. If anybody wants to do that, that's great. It's a nice little way to turn around and make a profit on something. No problem with that whatsoever. And I was very grateful to find him and buy what he had left of Coyote Gray. However, normally I buy in bulk from a main retailer because it's the best price that I'm going to get. The only better price would be if I had a ton of money and could buy a lot of Kydex directly from the manufacturer of the material. Unfortunately, that's just not in the cards for me right now. So, yeah, long story short, manufacturers can make this color, but I would need to buy it in such bulk that's just not feasible for me. So I'm trying to get some other Kydex suppliers to buy it so that I have an outlet to buy from. Hopefully I can achieve that, but we will see. I'll keep you guys posted. But for the foreseeable future, this is all that's left of Coyote Gray. Most guys don't have it as an option anymore, so unfortunately this is all there is. 8x12 sheets, so we're pretty limited on project size. But contact me or ask about Coyote Gray if you're interested in a project with that color, and we'll figure something out here. All right. So there we go, guys. That's pretty much all I have to show you on this. Like I said, it was a really challenging build. It was a lot of fun, and it was very, very cool of Richard to throw this my way, and for Jake, his son, to give me a gift, which brings me to the surprise that I've got for Jake. So, guys, you know that this generation, every generation says this about the next, but it is getting truer and truer as we go along, that younger generations are being brought up with too much screen time, too much indoors time. They're just less and less interested in doing rugged things, manly things, outdoor things. And I think it's just so awesome when a young kid is into doing that kind of stuff and really learning about nature, outdoors, the world, learning how to do survival tasks, because who knows when that would be an invaluable thing, whether it's just SHTF and the world has gone to pot and you need to survive off the grid, or maybe you have some kind of accident on the highway and you're stranded far from anywhere. I don't know, I'm making up scenarios, but you get it. There are a million different ways that a survival skill could come in handy in your life, and the general way of thinking, the mindset that you have to learn and master some of those tasks is going to serve you in other areas of life universally. So I'm just really, really proud of any kid that I hear about doing that kind of stuff, playing outside in the outdoors, learning how to do fires, learning how to whittle, learning how to do feather sticks, learning how to use a camp knife, etc. And that is, and that's why, on top of the fact that he gave me a gift, which is just super generous, super thoughtful, I wanted to return the favor by gifting him one of my favorite knives. So, Jake, this here is a Barred Owl Bushcrafter. It is made by Firekeeper Forge. Sam Farnsworth is the owner over there. Actually, I think he's the only guy. I don't think he employs anybody. I think it's just a one-man show. Any which way, his stuff is so nice. I love his knives. You can see him in an episode of Forged in Fire as well, by the way. And it's very clear that his skill is just so incredible. The dude is a good guy. He makes some really unbelievable knives, and I love his stuff. So this knife has been one of my favorites in the campsite for like 4 or 5 years now, but I just don't go camping that much, and I've got a lot of different knives that I rotate. So this doesn't see as much use as it probably should. And given how much I love it, I want it to go to somebody that's going to put it to good use, that's going to use it more. And I hope that that is the case for you, my friend. So this is what I'm giving you. Now, as far as what it's got, it is Nitro V steel, which is a very high quality forged steel. It's got, I think this is tiger maple. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's what that is. We've got some ornate mosaic pins there down through the center. And I think it's got a distal taper on it as well, if I recall, meaning that the tang is actually tapered inward toward the pommel. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but you can clearly see that it's definitely tapered. I think that's called a distal taper. I love this knife, guys. It's just super nice, and it is sharp as all get out. So Jake, please, please, please be careful with this thing. Richard, raise him up how he should go on how to use this thing. I'm sure you will. And Jake, it would be very, very uncouth of me to send you a knife without a sheath, wouldn't it? So, boom. You're getting this sheath that I built for it. It's True Hide Whip and True Hide Whiskey for the color combination. You also have a tech lock here, and this can be mounted in multiple positions. It can go spanning the hardware from these two holes, or you can shift this one up to here. Either way, you can do two different combinations of holes on the tech lock. You can do what you're looking at here, which is a vertical carry like so. But you can also, through the same two holes, go diagonal through here and here. It's a little bit bigger of a gap, so you do need to kind of cheat the angle a little bit. And how I do that is I just tighten, I put the hardware in and only start threading it, and then I get the second screw in and start that one, and then you can tighten them. If you tighten one too much, it kind of pushes the hole out of alignment with the other one. So, you know, you'll notice that if this one is perfectly centered, this one is not correct, but if you kind of get them partially overlapped like that, you can make it work. All right, so you can do that, you can do that, you can do the same two things with these two holes instead of these two holes, and of course you can do fully horizontal. So you've got like 4 different angle options to choose from for each combination of the holes, and that just makes it a pretty versatile setup. So there you go, ambidextrous by default, and not much of a click in. You can definitely feel it bottom out though, and good retention, nice thumb rev, ballistic draw. I really, really like this thing. So my friend, like I said, one of my favorite knives, but I am just honored and happy to pass this on to someone who will put it to more use than I'm able to at the moment. And I hope that it serves you for many years. But I want to let you know that if you do ever decide that you want to trade it, if you want to sell it, then please, please, please be my guest. It is yours to do with as you choose. I just ask you to take good care of it and make sure that it sees a lot of action. So there you go, guys. That is all I've got for you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, how I did on the sheath work. What do you think of these knives? If you have any experience with Firekeeper Forge, let us know in the comments as well. Like I said, one of my favorite bladesmiths right now. I think Sam is just an outstanding craftsman. So I'm super happy to own a couple of his knives and now to be gifting one to a very deserving young man. So, all right, guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. Stick around for the next video. God bless.